Shalom. We're reading through Psalm 84 today in the Sunday free class. And what you're looking at is the Hungry for Hebrew app that you can download from hungryforhebrew.com. It's currently in beta testing for Android and Windows. Still working on the Mac version. Please be patient. All right. Who wants to read verse number 1? Cute little itty bitty verse. All right. I'll do it. Lam natseach al hagitit livnei korach mizmor. Okay, so that's just the introduction. I just wanted to take that one so no one else had to. We've seen this Lam Natseach over and over again. The conductor or choir master, the guy in charge of, the music minister, if you will. Gitit is a little bit more interesting. Can anyone think of I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question without revealing the answer. Is there anyone in the Bible that you know from a place related to this word? Yes. Goliath of
Gath.
Gath. Oh, so Git is going to be the construct form. A Gath is a wine press. And so it appears that Gath is the root of this word. It appears that we're talking about a musical instrument here, but no one has one iota of a clue as to what kind of an instrument it could be. Speculate it's a stringed instrument, of course. And maybe it was an instrument that was either invented in or popular in Gath, and maybe that's why it's called the Gitit. Who knows? Nobody's sure. Livnei Korach, you remember the sons of Korach. Mizmor, of course, is the name of a psalm in Hebrew. All right, who wants verse 2?
Can I go, please?
All right, four people want to read. Yeah, go
can I
ahead,
ask a question?
Maria, of course, of course.
I'm just wondering how come a psalm is called Mizmor and the book is called Tehillim? Is there any why did it develop into the way it is? Because I
Actually,
wondered about that.
Actually, I'm not 100% sure. It was just one of those things that it just is. Kachazeh b'ivrit. That's just the way it is in Hebrew. Does anyone have a good answer or speculative
I'm
answer?
wondering, I'm wondering if some of them were sung and some of them were just recited. Zemer means
Well,
song, right?
right. So mizmor from zamal, it originally means making music. And so whether that's singing, playing, etc. And then tehillim, what's the meaning of tehillim?
Praise.
Right, praise. So the praises, right? It's in the plural. So the
Mhm.
book is called the Book of Praises, and each
Mm.
one is a mizmor, a song. I guess it would be similar to no, I guess that's a little different. No, does anyone have a good response for that? Otherwise, I'll have to look into it and get back to you.
No, that sounds logical.
Sufficient.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Right. Now it
I
sounded like 3 or 4 of you wanted to read. Elizabeth, you have your hand up. Did you want to read?
I just want to add something about Miss Moore.
Uh-huh.
Also, it's a melody. I always use as a melody.
No, well, I mean, no. And okay, so
No?
technically, I don't even know if this is biblical or modern, but a nigun
Uh-huh.
is a melody from the verb linagen, to play on an instrument. Mizmor is used in the Bible generically for making music. So
Okay.
whether it's singing, playing, um,
Okay.
I don't think it's quite that specific, but no, I don't think so.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
any other comments? All right, who wants to
Well,
read?
just one
Oh,
comment, and that
Carol.
is one of the sons of Korah must have survived. They said all his family went under the earth, but one must have survived because this is the sons of Korah.
Right, but it was
So
actually, I think it was more than one because remember even in the book of Numbers, Korach was over there, and then the sons were
separated.
separate from it because they're like, sorry, Dad, we're not with you on this one.
It's
Anyway,
like
whether
stand back. Yeah, they stood back,
it's like,
right?
yeah, I think you're making a bad choice here, Dad, and down
Mm-hmm.
he went.
Gosh,
Uh,
what a day.
yeah, it's a terrible day, and all because of the, I don't know, haughtiness against the God chosen leadership or whatever. So we have a lesson to learn there, I suppose. All right,
Mm-hmm.
now who wants to read verse 2?
Can I go, please?
Uh-huh. Chana, go ahead, verse 2.
מה ידידות משכנתך, אדוני צבאות?
Very good. I guess there's not a whole lot to talk about here. All right, I'll go ahead and ask. Does anybody know why there's a dagesh in the yod? I didn't even see the dagesh in the yod until you said something. No? Cheryl knows.
She does?
Of course she does.
Ma?
Ah,
Yeah.
Oh, I always forget that.
Right? So what you're looking at in the word ma is a short patach. Wait a second. Short vowels are supposed to be in closed syllables according to the Rouse rule. So in fact, this is a closed syllable, but then the question becomes why? Well, actually, the question is more what? Remember, man is the what that fell from the heavens and they ate during the Exodus. Or, okay, in Hebrew, it's called man. In Greek, it's carried over as manna, probably because there was a case ending, a Proto-Semitic case ending on this word. So it's like the word man with an extra at the end that eventually gets lopped off. The point is, man, the bread man is called man because the people said, what? Indeed, the word what is the word man. It's just that the noon almost always disappeared or assimilated into the following letter until ma becomes the standard form of the word what. So in fact, what you're looking at here is what should be a man with the noon at the end of the syllable assimilating into the following letter.
mhm.
And that's why we get patach here instead of kamatz, which is how it would show up if, for example, the next letter were a guttural and it couldn't take a dagesh. And let's see, ma yedidot mishkanotecha. Why is there a yod in mishkanotecha?
Plural?
Yeah, exactly, plural. Well, wait a second, we already have an oat here. What is that, kind of redundant, having two indications of the plural? Yeah. Yeah, for feminine plural, it is. Just remember that this oat right here in, let's see, before the Canaanite shift was a long at. Remember, the Canaanite shift is where in the so-called Canaanite languages, which includes Hebrew, certain kamatz vowels shifted to an O sound, and this is probably the most famous shift from a to o. It's the plural. Anybody ever take Aramaic? In Aramaic, the plural is long kamatz, at, whereas in Hebrew it shifted to ot. And so that means before Hebrew shifted to ot, it actually would have just looked like mishkenet, which could be singular, rather than mishkanat. By adding the yod in here, you know that it's plural. Mishkanotecha. Adonai Tzavaot. What is a tzava?
Army.
Army host.
Yeah, army, and especially if we're talking about God's army, then we're talking about an angelic host. But then again, how do I say this? In the ancient Near East, what the gods and their servants did up in the sky mirrors what happens on the earth, or at least that's the way they thought about it. So when we talk about the Adonai Tzavaot, there's probably some carryover there. It's like what God is doing above affects what's happening here below. Meh. Next. All right. Who wants to? Anatoly, you have your hand up. Did you want to read next?
Yeah, thank you.
Verse 3. Go ahead.
Uhisofa begam. It's not kamat here.
Nope.
Kalata.
Nope. It's a verb. So it's
Kalata.
yeah, if you know it's a verb, then you know it's kalata. If it's a noun, then it's kolta. And there's no way to know except context.
Anarchy. Lechatzerot. Adonai Lebi. Ubisari. Iraneno. Elchai. Iranenu.
Right. Let's see. Yiranenu. Right. Because the noon here is part of the root, the stress is going to fall at the end. This isn't new of like us or we. The root is resh nun nun, and we have a duplicated nun in the middle. Why?
And I think it's geminate, and there's also an energetic noon in there, maybe?
This is a plain old PL.
Oh, thank you.
It's just a plain old PL, like yidaber, yiranu, or I guess it would be yidaberu.
Leranen.
Yeah, okay, so let's compare apples to apples, right? So yidaberu would be maybe a strong verb. Yidaberu, yeah, yidaberu, yiranenu. Same thing.
Oh,
That's
But it's
it.
a polel, right?
No, if it were a polel, there would be an O vowel,
Oh,
like
okay.
yironen.
Mm-hmm.
Here, look, let me back up a second. There are plenty of places where, let me just make sure I'm saying this right. I think there are places where Ranan does show up in the polel, just not here.
Yeronen.
So Yironen is probably another way that it's going to show up. And in fact, in this handy dandy software, you can probably click on that. Go check it out in the turn that on, turn that off. There we go. In the lexicon
Frequency.
and see how often like this one, Yaronnu, that would be polel. Here we get Ronni, which is also polel, and Ronnu. That's in he feel, that's different. And then those are, yeah. So the answer is yes, it does show. Oh, there we go. Taron. There are plenty of places where it shows up in the polel. What does it mean to be in the polel? Anybody? What's polel? If I say polel, what does it mean to you?
it's a
It-
PL with an O.
With a geminate, a
A
PL
special-
geminate.
Okay, it's a specialized PL.
Is it
It's a-
hollow also?
Yeah,
Or no?
exactly. So it's a specialized form of PL. So when you see polel, you should be thinking, okay, it is a PL. It just shows it's a specialized form that shows up, like Cheryl said, if the root is either geminate or hollow. Okay, what does geminate mean?
The middle letter.
2 and 3 are the
right.
same.
Right, exactly. Like this one, we have resh, nun, nun. Root letters 2 and 3 are the same. And then hollow means,
Missing middle.
well, it
vowel.
means that the root is supposed to have a yod or a vav in the second root letter, right? So shir, sim, bo, mut, shuv, kum, all of those would be hollow. Exactly. Lin or lun. And those are the ones you expect to show up in the polel. Now, I keep telling my students, I'll tell you guys also, nobody really knows. Nobody has a good theory as to how the polel was actually, how it came to be, who invented it, how, when, where. But it's a phenomenon that only shows up in Hebrew. There are no other Semitic languages with this polel form. So that's interesting. And what else do we have? Nichs. Oh, did you guys see the root of this first word here? Nichsefa. Well, first off, what form is it?
Nifal.
Nifal.
Form. It's
Well,
Nifal.
Nichsafti, yeah.
Nifal.
Yeah.
I thought someone was going to take the bait and say
No.
it was cohortative, but
No,
the
four
noon,
consonants.
the noon on the front appears to be Nifal, and then the hey at the end tells us 3FS. So we've got this passive voice, but now what's the root?
Yep.
Looks like kesef, doesn't it? Kasef.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it helps you think about the word. What is kesef?
Money.
Money.
No, it's silver.
Silver.
Silver. Today, with our funny paper money, we have no idea what real value is. Silver and gold, they were currency or money that for thousands of years before paper was invented. Anyway, kesef is the thing that is longed for, right? Or at least that's the way it appears to be portrayed in the Hebrew. Pretty cool, huh? right? Like yalad is to bear children. A yeled is the result of it,
child.
right? So kasaf is to long for something. Kesef is the thing longed for. And
Mm.
now I'm obviously, love of money and all that. Money is a necessary thing in life. It's just not to be loved. Vagam kaleta nafshi. Why is this in the feminine singular? Why is this 3FS?
Nefesh is feminine.
Right.
Nafshi, yeah.
I hear you there. So does that mean Nefesh is the subject? She is, my being is completed or
Tired.
exhausted or tired. Yeah, like that. V'gam kaleta nafshi. Wait a second. Wait. What's longed for? It was in the previous verse, right?
Kesef.
No. Well, I'm sorry. That was just, I was making a connection with the root. But in context, Ma yedidot mishkanotecha, your dwelling places, Adonai Tzavaot.
Longing and exhausted is
Is
my nefesh. Nefesh is the subject,
both
and
of the
nefzefa and kalta are both verbs.
okay, so if this is the subject, then that means this is one of the verbs and this is one of the verbs.
I think so.
Mhm.
My nefesh is longed.
Longing. Nechsefa is longing.
I know, but that's active. We need it to be passive. So what do we do with that?
Yearns.
Yearns.
Nechsefa. Okay.
Let me scooch this
Yeah.
over just a
Well,
little bit.
nechsefa is when a nifal has a kamat instead of a patach. Like the patach is the kal. 3ms, right?
No.
So,
I
no?
think what you're thinking is that in the participle, the participle has a kamatz here,
Mhm.
whereas the katal form only has a patach there. So as far as whether or not that's a kamatz, there's nothing we. You know what this. I almost, you know what, just let me tell you what I was thinking, and if it's absolute rubbish, then fine. But nichsefa, if it were a kal binyan, it means let us long for. Then all of a sudden it's not nifal passive, it's actually active. Let us long for. But then you get the vagam kalata nafshi, and let my being or my being is consumed or exhausted or something like that. Anyway, the point is we really want lechatzrot Adonai. The chatzer is like the courtyard of a home, usually either fenced or walled in, but still outside of the main home per se. Libi uvsari, my heart or mind, and my flesh in the sense of the physical part of me. Yiranenu, they are. Remember, Ranan is what? Crying out loud.
A ringing cry.
Ringing cry, exactly. So it's not necessarily always a good thing, but it can be good, could be bad, either one. Like if I'm crying, that could be a Ranan. Or if I'm like, that could also be Ranan. Here in this context, we are longing for the Chatzrot Adonai, so it's probably a good thing. And we're Yiranenu El Chai, to or towards the living God. All right. Questions, comments?
Yeah, I have a question. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So go ahead, Sam.
No, go ahead, Sam.
So why then, if it's let us long for, why
No,
is
I
it?
did. I'm just saying that this form looks identical to a cohortative let us long for, but it also looks exactly like a Nifal 3FS. So the Hebrew could be either one. So my mind is like, how many different ways can we interpret this rather than what's the one true interpretation? But your question was?
Well, you answered half of it, but I'm still wondering where is the 3MS coming from because I don't see a
Well, Cheryl,
3MS. I
well,
don't see a
three FS
3MS subject.
should be three FS, but both of these have a
3FS,
three. You're
yes.
right, exactly. So
3FS. Yeah, I don't see that.
Cheryl saw the nafshi. Nefesh is an irregular feminine. And so she suggested that if this was the subject, then that means these could be the verbs. And basically, the verse 3 is showing us verb and also verb subject. So in our minds, we have to kind of swap it around. But I don't know. I find it a little unsettling how to make nafshi the subject of what is this? My soul was longed for, and also my soul kalot, kala, like exhausted, consumed, to end, expend, cease, blah blah blah. Yeah. So it's like it's at its life's end or edge or something like that.
But wouldn't this be dependent on who's speaking?
No, the
No?
psalmist is the one speaking. So when he says nafshi, he's referring to himself.
Right, which is
My
feminine?
nefesh. Yeah, nefesh is feminine. And it's okay for a guy to say my nefesh in the same way that I could say I have two ears and they are feminine and I could still be a dude.
Okay, my being. Okay, okay, okay.
Right. But yeah, it still sits a little uneasy with me, but I'm gonna roll with it. Ooh.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Also, it's a little interesting that the nefesh, translated as being, is also the word for soul. So
Okay, all right. It's been a while, Ken. So let's get back into this. Okay. Where does the idea of the nefesh being the soul come from?
Greek.
It comes from Plato. Let me define my terms. If when we say soul, we're talking about the immortal part of an individual, that comes from Plato. Remember, Paul's the one that said that, what did he call God who only is immortal? It means that we as believers, I don't know, you can call it like conditional mortality. It's like we were created, we had a beginning. If he wanted to, he could end us, but fortunately, through the blood of Yeshua, we can, on a certain condition, his grace, become live eternally, which we'll call immortal. So the whole idea of an immortal soul, the first recorded that I know of, the first recorded idea of something living beyond your death was when Plato told his students not to mourn for him when he died, for his soul would continue to live after his body dies. It's not biblical. I guess that's, of course, that's a loaded way to say it. Plato was not biblical, put it that way. So anyway, where does the word nefesh come from in Hebrew? Well, it comes from throat, breathing, ultimately one who is animated, living, basically everything that composes a living individual or comprises, sorry, everything that comprises a living individual is essentially seen as the nefesh. So like when we see you shall love the Lord with your, with your entire nefesh, is right? Nafshecha, right, with all of your nefesh. It's like everything that makes who you are, use that to love God, and not necessarily just the thing on the inside that nobody can see, that whatever it is, how you define it. Anyway, that's where I come from.
Thank you for that. It's also interesting on the same note that today modern Judaism has adopted that Greek philosophical meaning, but they reject the Septuagint.
Okay, sure. Just remember that the Septuagint was written. I agree with you 100%. The Septuagint became taboo when Christianity jumped on board of it. Before that, the Septuagint was written specifically for the benefit of Greek-speaking Jews who had lost their ability to speak and understand Hebrew. And so it was this amazing tool for Greek-speaking Jews to get back into the Torah, even though they had drifted so far away from the traditions of their fathers. But then when Christianity jumped in with both feet, because most of the converts were Greeks, then Judaism actually came up with some competing translations and then ultimately abandoned the Greek translation of the Bible. And in fact, there are some pretty zesty ways that the rabbis talk about how they feel about the Greek. You know, in some places it would say something like, it'd be better for you to feed your children pork than to teach them Greek. And you're like, oh, geez, you feel strongly on that one, maybe? So anyway, there's a long story there, but there's a whole lot more truth to what you said. Like, for example, think about the intertestamental or pseudepigraphical scriptures like Testament of Abraham, where you have, you know, the sick and the wicked and the poor and whatever on one side of the fiery place of, you know, holding place. And then you have Abraham and you have all the other fathers and everyone who's rich and healthy and righteous on the other side. And, you know, then you take that picture and compare it to Yeshua's parable about the rich man and Lazarus. So where did the Testament of Abraham get this idea of two sides of the underworld? Greek mythology. And then Yeshua still uses it in, where is it? Luke 16, rich man and Lazarus. He uses that picture when he makes a prophecy about Caiaphas. I don't know if any of you realize it, but the rich man and Lazarus is not just a parable. It's a prophetic parable. There are 9 clues as to who the rich man is, and Caiaphas fits every single one of them. So it was a prophecy that the rich man and his father and his 5 brothers, who were also the priestly family, would not believe even if someone came back from the dead. Lazarus came back from the dead, Yeshua came back from the dead, and both times they were still on the other side unbelieving. So I think that's pretty stinking amazing. But the lesson I'm taking from it, though, is Yeshua had no problem using that steeped, that Greek idea that Jewish literature ended up accepting and writing into something like, you know, Testament of Abraham. Is it Apocalypse? No, that's a different one. Testament of Abraham. And he's quoting it not necessarily because he believes it 100%. Maybe he's quoting it because everyone that's listening to him is familiar with it. You know, much in the same way that Paul would quote a Roman poet, not because he puts his stamp of approval on everything that Roman poet said, but because that one little tidbit was an authoritative voice to his audience, you know. Anyway, so sorry for that little monologue.
No, that was great, you know, and you can always count on me to get us off track. You remember that?
Excellent. Well, as long as it stays interesting, right? Alvaro, I haven't heard from you in ages. How are you doing? It was you, Alvaro, that you invited Elizabeth then.
Yes.
That's it. Aha. Elizabeth, you said Alvaro, and I'm thinking Alvaro. It's the same name. Of course I know who you're talking about. Welcome, welcome. Do you want to read to read verse 3?
Your name?
Wait. Oh, sorry. Who has a question?
Yeah, I just want to go back to the use of the second verse, the use of ma, which normally means what, but in this context, it's used as how. Is ma then used interchangeably according to the context, or I mean, how does it?
It's fair to say that Hebrew ma is more versatile than English what. But I guess when Hebrew is trying to like make an interjection, you know, someone is astonished by something like, oh my gosh, suppose look how strong that person is, or look how beautiful that person is, or look how many creatures there are, you know, something like that. Hebrew loves to use ma. And so it's something that we just have to, I don't know, get over and deal with. But yeah, you're exactly right. They're using the ma. What we would use in English is how. Oh, how strong he must be. Oh, how many creatures there are. Yeah. And that's a tough one for me. Like, sometimes it can even be used for why, like ma kafatsta. It's like, why did you jump?
Mm.
And it's still ma.
Alright.
Or ma tovu or lecha Yaakov. You know, it's like what beauty instead of like how beautiful are your tenso Jacob.
Mapitom.
Mapitom. Well, yeah, that one's easier for me because it's like, what all of a sudden? Come again? What's that?
Jared,
Yeah,
That
question.
sounds great.
yes. The dagesh inside the yod, what is it doing there? I know the hey is from a definitive article.
Nope. Sorry, it's not. The hay is
So-
there as a vestige. So we actually mentioned it just before you joined. The word for ma has an original nun, man, and that's where we get the idea of manna, the what stuff from heaven, the bread from heaven. And so the nun from the word ma, which was originally man, has assimilated into the following letter. And that's also why we get patach, a short vowel in a closed syllable, because it's a closed syllable. There used to be a consonant right there. So the hey is really just how do I say this? After the noon assimilates, all we have is an ah vowel there. Later on, someone adds the hey. The hey didn't exist until the time of Solomon as a vowel letter, as a mater lectionis or an em kriya. So some scribe somewhere along the way added the hey in there. They had to have. But yeah, because the word ma is originally man.
So why does the yod has a shva and a dagesh at the same time?
Oh, that's
I
not a
haven't
problem.
seen-
No.
No?
You can look, for example, you can have a weak dagesh with a shva. You can have a strong dagesh. Where was it in the previous verse? I think. Strong dagesh with a shva. No, it's the next one. Where's Rananu? We just saw it. Where's Rananu? Oh, here it is, right there. Shift. Okay, this one right here has a strong dagesh with a shva. It's not impossible to have a dagesh and a shva, either
Okay.
whether weak or strong. The only difference is that if it's a weak dagesh, then that means the shva is necessarily a silent shva, and if it's a strong dagesh, I said that backwards. No, if there's any dagesh, it has to be a vocal shva. So this would be Yeranenu, Mishkanotecha. And yeah, there's nothing against having both of them.
Thank you.
Now, it would be weird to see a guttural with either one of those. Gutturals typically don't like both dagesh and shva. They would prefer either sloughing the dagesh or taking a reduced vowel. All right.
I'm thinking he's thinking Skinnem Levy. You often don't see a dagesh when there's a shva under certain letters, and yod is one of them.
Fair
So
enough.
maybe that.
Fair enough. We could even argue that noon is one of them. And yet there's the dagesh. So Skinnem Levy is one of those sometimes rules that, I don't know, it's kind of annoying. All right. Any other questions for verse 3 before we move on to verse 4?
Elizabeth has her hand.
Elizabeth, you want to read verse 4?
Yes, please.
All right. It's all yours. Go ahead.
Gam Sipor Max Bayit Max. Yeah. Max. Bayit Udwar Cain La Asher Shata F Lo Sheta Ha at Miss Protect.
Mizbechotecha.
Adonai Shabbat Malki
Right.
Elohai.
Velohai. Very good. Gam tzipor matzavayit. What? Is that usual to have the stress right there?
Hurt myself.
It's not normal. Usually we would think matzah, matzah, but here it looks like it's honestly, it looks like it's matzah rather than matzah. And let me just hash out what I'm thinking here. When we think about what the rules are behind when schwa is silent or vocal, one of those rules is that if it's a stressed syllable, whether it's a short vowel or a long vowel doesn't matter. If it's a stressed syllable, then it's going to end in a silent schwa. That's one of the rules. I don't know if I buy it 100% of the time. Like, for example, I would actually protest whether it's supposed to actually be matzah as an open syllable. But anyway, I digress. The reason I think that is because there used to be a full vowel here. And so I'm not sure if it can go. Anyway, it's besides the point. It's beans. Move on. Why is it stressed here instead of there? That's what's more important. Why did the stress move?
Figured it was because they didn't want a Kamatz Katan.
Well, fair. Well, actually, no, not really. Let me go back to a previous word to demonstrate what I'm talking about. In what verse was it? It was here. Remember when was it Alvaro was reading in this verse number 3? We stumbled on this word right there, and he thought, wait a second, that's a kamatz katan because it's a closed unstressed syllable, and usually that's flawless logic. The only problem is that if it's a verb, that used to be a full vowel, which means it necessarily has to be vocal, and it becomes kalata. The frustrating bit is that it looks exactly the same as if it were kol with a kamatz katan, kol ta. A better example would be achla and ochla. Those are actual Hebrew words. What is achla?
Yeah, looks like eating in a feminine form.
Very good. She ate. She ate. Absolutely. This is a verb. And then there's the Hebrew ochla, spelled the exact same way, but this one is a noun. What is ochla?
Food.
Food. So if you say ochla, or if you say achla ochla, it means she ate food, and they're spelled the exact same way. There's a famous book called Achla ve'ochla, precisely on this subject. So the problem here is that in the verb, that vowel comes from an original ah. It's actually a short vowel, like what we think of as a patach, and it just gets lengthened in Hebrew. And this one comes from an original oo vowel, which in Hebrew turns into an o. So if this is an ah vowel and that's an o vowel, then why are they spelled the same? Because the Masoretes pronounced both kamatz and kamatz katan as all, somewhere halfway in between the two. That's why they use one symbol, one glyph to represent two historic vowels. By their time, they had already obfuscated two unrelated vowels. And we get to suffer for it because of their mistake. Anyway, so my point being, if you see something that looks like a 3FS verb, it could be a verb, and it could be a feminine noun. Context will tell you which one it is. So let's go back to this one right here. Matzah, because we have a tzipor, which is a 3FS noun, and that's a noun, that's a conjunction. We're basically missing a verb. That must be our verb. Well, the verb is matzah. Matzah is going to be feminine. Yay, it fits. Because it's a verb, it means that it has to be matzah. If it's a noun, something that has been found, that would be a motzah. Maybe I'm getting off topic a little bit. And did that answer anyone's question or not? Not really? Okay.
Yeah, Jared, I have another question up above the use of L. One means two and the other one is God. Is it why is that? Is it because of the Sarah and the Sigul?
You are amazing. That's such a good question. It's I'm afraid my answer is going to include just a little bit of speculation. We know that the prepositions the preposition el, whenever it has a suffix, gets an extra yod. And so it would be tempting for us to speculate that the word to or towards comes from the root aleph lamed yod. When it comes to God, El, now, y'all don't be hating on me. Most people think that El and Elohim, let's see, like Elohai, they say these two have the same root. I actually don't agree with that. How do I put this? Oh, okay. Can anybody tell me what the word bait means?
House.
House or house
House
of.
of.
Yeah, exactly. Or you could do the same thing with any number of other words like chel is probably the construct form of chayil, just like bet is the construct form of bayit. And so I wonder if God, El, is actually not related to Aleph Lamed Hey, consonantal Hey. And we know it's a consonantal Hey because we get to see it here as a consonant, also in Aramaic as a consonant. But instead, if it's related to Aleph Yod Lamed. Now, what does that mean? Y'all ain't gonna like me for this. It's a ram or it's a deer, right? An ayil is either a ram or a like a, what do you call it? A stag, a male deer. An ayelet would be the feminine version. But anyway, so if it is related, then that means el for God is aleph yod lamed, whereas to or towards is aleph lamed yod. Two separate roots. No, before I jump to the aleph yod lamed, there is also another possibility. Aleph lamed lamed, like the elilim, right? Elilim would be a geminate root, meaning like false gods. But what would it be in the absolute form? Well, much like ein mem mem, which means, people, you don't get to see both mems. It simplifies down into ein mem. So in the same way, if aleph lamed lamed simplifies down to aleph lamed, then that means you could have two completely unrelated roots, even though they end up looking the same as another word in some cases. So there's a bit of speculation in there, but my ultimate answer to you would be, I believe that the word to or towards comes from one root and God, El, comes from a different root.
In support of what you just said about El and Elohim probably not being God, Elohim actually stands for judge and other things too. So unless you want to say they're from God, so maybe that has some substance to it.
Maybe. Whether my analysis is 100% is almost irrelevant. The point being that it comes from two different roots and they still look the same sometimes. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Sam, did you have a question?
Yes, the cancellation mark that denotes the halfway point of the verse is also denoting where the stress is.
The answer to your question should be yes, but can you tell me what exactly you're referring to?
Well, what I'm referring to is the fact that now I'm noticing that that mark is, for lack of a better term, this is the first time I've seen it.
Are you talking about?
Yeah.
Upside down. Okay, that's good. I wanted to make sure what your question was first. Okay, so this over here is an etnach or an etnachtah. This is the symbol that's used in prose, in narrative, for the halfway point of the verse. We're in Psalms. So it actually gets demoted. This cancellation mark gets demoted in Psalms. It's no longer necessarily the halfway point, but it's still, a relatively high disjuncting mark. Now, what you're looking at with the other symbol is what do they call it? Etnach hafucha or something like that. Etnach hafucha. It just means flipped etnach, and it is not as disjuncting as the regular etnach. So the answer is no, it's not the halfway mark. In fact, you can see in, this verse here, you get two of them.
Right.
Oh, three? No,
So
that's
so
a
it
netnach. Okay.
so it's denoting stress.
It does still denote stress, yes. There are relatively few cantillation marks that absolutely do not mark the stress syllable. They are either pre-positive, like this one up here on yiranu, or they are not prepositional. There we go. They're either prepositional or postpositional. Oh, it's pre-positive, post-positive. I forget what the term is. The point is, it either always shows up at the end of the word or always shows up at the beginning of the word, and you cannot trust it for stress. Notice, like in mizbechotecha, the stress has to be either here or here, like by definition, and there's nothing.
Mm.
The cantillation mark is way up here. That's because it always shows up there. Why? Why couldn't the scribes just have put the cantillation mark where we want the stress to be, or we want to know where the stress is? Simple. They care more about how to sing the text than where the stress goes.
I
So it was
see.
really nice
Okay.
of them to put most cantillation marks where the stress goes. That's great, but not all of them. So bummer. So what does that mean? If I want to know where the stress in this word goes, means I'll either have to start picking up the general pattern in Hebrew that whenever there's an echa suffix, it's going to be penultimate, or I could find this word somewhere else in the Bible with a different cantillation mark on it that does show me where the stress goes. Those are our two options. If we absolutely
Okay.
don't know. Or we could just guess 85%, 80 something percent of the time, it'll be final stress, 20 something percent of the time, maybe penultimate. Here it's penultimate. Any other comments or questions before we move on to verse 4 for Elizabeth? Oh, wait, no, Elizabeth did just read. This one. Gam tzipul matz. Oh, so back to that's what it was. The original question. Why did the stress move? Because there's stress right here. And Hebrew doesn't want to put stressed syllables next to each other, so it shifted this one forward so that they're not next door to each other. That's it. Matza'avayit instead of matza'avayit, like you're trying to get two stress syllables in a row. That's all. A little anticlimactic, perhaps. My apologies. Gamtsipo matza'avayit udror ken la. This is almost unrelated to the text, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it anyway. A dror is not only just a bird. What also does dror mean? Liberty.
Okay.
Liberty. So then when I see dror ken la, ken, of course, is spelled with a kuf, which originally sounds different than a kaf. It's not ka, it's more like ko. But anyway, so the difference is a ken rather than a ken. Anyway, what's the word ken?
Yes.
Yes. So it's like dror ken la sounds almost in my ears something like, indeed, liberty belongs to her. And that's just, I guess what I'm trying to show is that that's kind of how Midrash works sometimes, where the rabbis are like, ooh, don't read it like that. Read it like this. And everyone goes, oh, and it, creates some kind of a new interpretation. But here we're just talking about birds. Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, I got to find my hand raising icon. But anyway,
just be like, hey, you.
Anyways, actually, my brother-in-law's name is Dror, and I've heard
a nice name.
Yeah, he's Israeli, and I've heard, and I told him, and he didn't seem kind of on with it. But I've heard also Dror. Doesn't that also mean from the east in some context? Out of the east, or didn't they use it somehow like that?
Not ringing a bell.
Okay.
I don't know. Sorry.
On that. All right.
If you look into it and find something there, let us know. But yeah, sorry, it's not ringing a bell for me.
Okay.
So here we're talking about the birds. The bird finds a home and the swallow a nest for itself. So you can see there's a the verb is what do you call that? An ellipsis. When the verb is being applied to both sides, but it's only mentioned once, right? The bird finds a home and a swallow a nest for itself. It's like it's being repeated, but not. That's called ellipsis. And Asher shata efrocheha. Okay, efroach is a little bird. So here we got the nest full of birdies. Et mizbechotecha Adonai tzavaot malki velohai. Now this is kind of cool. Birds and swallows make their home and nest with or at the location of your altars, O Lord. And I just imagine the psalm, the author of the psalm is kind of jealous here. It's like, oh, look at those birds. They get to live here. They get to make their own home, their nest right here in the Temple Mount or in, the where the altar is. And I don't know. That's the way I read it. Maybe. Questions before we move on?
Jared,
Maria.
how about the word Ashrei, how blessed, how blessed?
On verse 5?
Yeah, I think it's in verse 5 and verse Ashrei, Ashrei Hoshev, Beteka, Od, Vayalhuka. Ashrei, how blessed. Is it because blessed for me is Baruch, or isn't it? How blessed are thou? What does Ashrei mean?
Yeah,
It
exactly.
says here it's how blessed.
All right.
Where did it come from?
Okay. This is another one of those slightly embarrassing things with Hebrew, but I'm going to go ahead and jump. Let's jump on it morphologically first. If we peel away the tzere yod, which is actually a construct plural, what we're left with is the skeleton of a segalit.
Oh, okay.
And so I think if I click on it, it'll actually show. Let me see if it shows it. Yeah, esher. Esher. So segolits are usually the sound, and that's exactly what it's showing up here as the absolute form being esher. Not necessarily in the sense of Baruch, blessed, but more like happy, fortunate. Here, let me see what this, since I have it here. Yeah, happiness, blessed, whatever, something like that. So you guys know about one of the 12 tribes. The name is Asher, which is supposed to be like, happy or whatever. Remember, was it Leah, or who was Asher's mom? I'm just guessing Leah because half the children were hers. But anyway, she was talking about how blessed or happy when Asher comes along. Therefore, she named him Asher. Then the slightly embarrassing bit is the Asherah poles. The goddess of fortune and happiness and blessings and whatnot. So is there a connection between Asher, Ashrei, Asherah poles? Look, it's the Middle East. It was the ancient Near East. Nobody was trying to be original. Everybody borrowed from everybody else. So is there overlap? Sure. But Hebrew is notorious for taking the pagan elements of the surrounding nations and saying, no. You see, this applies to our monotheistic system, to our God. They actually do this quite a bit. You see it all the time with Baal. When the surrounding nations are like, Baal is the god of, rain and storms and so on and so forth. And then you see that Yod He Vav He, Adonai, is the one riding on the clouds, sending the rain. You're like, ooh. That's Israelite theology sanitizing the polytheism of the surrounding nations. So it's not unheard of, but I want to back up to the morphological bit. It's like, well, wait a second. If this is a segalit, it means it's a noun.
Noun, yeah.
And if it's a noun, then it's a little harder for us to wrap our minds around. It's more like happy ones of, right? That's what it should connote. But the way we see it being actually used in the Psalms, it's almost like it gets turned into an adjective. Happy or blessed or fortunate are the ones who are blah, 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 blah. So anyway, that's just a little bit of backstory on the Ashrei. Baruch is coming from the root berech, knee, like your kneecaps. in the sense of like kneeling down or bending down or, submitting oneself to another, as you might see in this picture of one blessing another. So in that sense, it comes from two different directions, but of course there's semantic overlap. To some degree, they're going to be synonymous.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Man, which prayer does this come from? Ken, do you remember? Do you know?
Yeah, the Ashrei.
Yeah, from the Ashrei, of course. Okay, yeah. So what's really cool about the liturgy in Judaism is that it's kind of pieced. Most of the time, it's pieced together by all these amazing passages that are brought together into one piece of literature, and so it's fun when I'm reading through Psalms or whatever passage it is, and you just stumble on one of them, and you're like, "Oh, I recognize that." But then again, how long it continues on that one, I'm yammering. Ashrei yoshvei vetecha od yehalucha. Now, I put a note right here. Did anybody happen to look at that note in the Hebrew Foundations Bible? I sent out a snippet of this psalm in the Telegram group, in the Telegram chat, which means that you get to see that note right there. Correction. It's not in that one. Okay, my apologies. That's a different one. Never mind. Okay, so let me just talk about it for a second. I put a note here because the Greek Septuagint reads a little bit differently. And if I can spell correctly, there we go. Instead of translating this as od in the sense of still, more, continuance, duration, the Greek actually translates it as into the eons, which is Greek for forever. So where are they getting it from? Probably va'ed. You think of leolam va'ed, like forever and ever. So if you get a simple swapping of the vav and the ayin, then you can get va'ed yehalelucha selah, or selah, and which changes the translation from still they praise you to forever they praise you. So you can see how the Septuagint got to where they got.
Actually, that translation of ode fits nicely with the liturgical theme in the synagogue when they say Ein Od.
Ein Od.
Yeah,
right.
Meaning, God is one and actually forever. Yeah.
Where's you said cousin, Dror?
No, my brother-in-law. And actually,
brother-in-law.
I figured that he's from Tel Aviv, but now
he's from Tel Aviv. Okay.
I live in Sacramento, my sister. But I figured out while you were talking where I got mixed up with Dror. It didn't mean come from the east. His last name is Kedem.
There you go. Kedem means ancient or east.
Yeah, so even though it's not scriptural, I think a lot of people can correlate, Dror, liberty, like from the Mashiach coming from the east. So Dror.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. My mistake.
Love it.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions on verse 5? Yehalelucha. You see it has a pronominal suffix on the end. What binyan is yehalelu? Shva, patach, dagesh. Wait, there's no dagesh there. Skinam Levy. There's supposed to be a dagesh there, but it's a skinam Levy, so it's not there. Okay. Shva, patach, dagesh makes it a PL.
PL.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. Yehalelu. And there's another example of a geminate verb that doesn't automatically go to polel. Yay! It's feeling more and more like a sometimes rule.
So Jared, you don't mention it. You don't say halucha, right? You say halelucha.
Well, okay, here it's yehallelucha. So it is supposed to be okay. There are two different opinions here. I'm going to give you the modern Hebrew version because I can hear my Israeli friend like breathing down my neck right now. The way it works in modern Hebrew is that when you have two letters that are the exact same or very, very close in sound, then it necessarily requires what should be a silent shva, even though this shouldn't be a silent shva. It's supposed to have a dagesh. But even if it were just a short vowel makes a silent schwa, nevertheless, you still have a lamed coming afterward. Even that would require a slight pronunciation for the schwa. Look, the problem with schwa is that it used to be pronounced one way, and then about the 1400s, it started being pronounced a different way, and we've been arguing about it ever since. So we're 600 years into schwa controversies. Just remember that. Okay, let me turn it into a question. What does the word schwa mean?
Short? No?
It's spelled like this, schwa. Schwa has something to do with, yeah, like well, I guess I want to say brief, short, nothing, but now I feel like I have to look it up. So this gives me an opportunity to show you how the search function works, and let's see if I get embarrassed by it. Okay, so we're looking for a word in the lexicon that's spelled Shin Vav Aleph, and we probably should look up the lemma right there. And what is it going to give us? Nothing.
No results.
Aw, I thought it would give it. Oh, there it is. Schwa. Vain. Empty. Nothingness. There we go. See, I'm vindicated. Nothingness. Empty. So the idea of schwa being a vowel or a semblance of a vowel is automatically connoting like as close to nothing as you can get, right? Schwa is supposed to be an extremely short sound, if anything at all. And in fact, that's why it's called schwa. And so it seems to me that before the 1400s, schwa was usually was characterized as short a vowel as you can make, or something like that. You know, it wasn't terribly systematically defined or whatever. But I don't know. I wasn't there. I could be completely off my rocker, completely wrong. And okay, let's get back to, oh, that's why. Let me go back, and now we get to here. Okay, verse 6. Who's up for verse 6? Another ashrei? Nobody? Come on. Eileen, go ahead. Verse 6.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Ashrei Adam Odz Lo Batzka Mislo Misot Bila Betam.
All right, now I'm going to turn on the transliteration. Ashrei Adam Oz Lo Vach Mesilot Bilvavam. All right, now I want you to read it again. Verse 6, go.
Okay. Ashrei Adam Oz Lo Vakha Mislot
Vach. Yeah.
Vach Mislot Bilvavam.
So this right here, a teeny tiny upside down E means audible schwa, vocal schwa. Msilot. All right. So now that you've got the transliteration, I'm going to hide it, and you're going to read it one more time. Verse 6, go.
Okay. Ashrei Adam Oz Lo Vach Mislot Bilvavam.
Bilvavam. Good. So there we have another ashrei. So we're going to generally call it blessed, happy, fortunate. Is the Adam, human, individual, man, a member of mankind. Oz lo vach. Okay, so oz, strength, lo, belonging to him. So his strength, vach, in you. Wait. Where's our verb? There's no explicit verb. So it must be implied. Sam, turn your mic on so we can hear you. Sam, you talking to us? Turn your mic on.
No, I'm just
Okay.
trying
I saw
to
you. I
no.
saw you saying something, and I was like, I wonder if he
Oh
knows
yeah,
he's
no,
on
I
mute.
was just trying to go along and
Okay. Oh,
say it on
excuse me.
my
All right.
own. Yeah,
Good.
no
Good. Good.
problem.
Good. My apologies. So, Ashrei Adam Oz Lo Vach. There's no explicit verb here, so we have to assume that there's an implied to be, and in fact, that's what the translation here does. Blessed is the one whose strength is in you, referring to, the Creator. Mesilot bilvavam. So I guess salal is the root, samech lamed, the highways, bilvavam, in their heart. What does that even mean? Mesilot bilvavam. Oh, I see what this. Okay, so what I put in the app is the what's called the web or WEB version. The what is it called? World English Bible. It's a public. I can't say public domain, but it's a Bible translation that's available for anyone to use without copyright. Blessed are those whose strength is in you, who have set their hearts on a pilgrimage. So misilot must be the idea of, hey, let's go up to Jerusalem 3 times a year. At least that's what they think.
I think it's more of, well, the way I would have translated it would be, yeah, blessed is the person whose strength is in him and whose ways and his ways are in their heart. Like the Lord made himself known to Moses, his ways to Moses, his acts to the sons of Israel. It's like more of a person who walks in the ways of the Lord internally, not just acting it out.
Okay.
I have another twist on that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The lev, the heart in Hebraic thought, is a decision maker. The kidneys are where the emotions are. People confuse that. It's where we make our decisions. So to give God our heart means to decide to make all of our actions and all of our decisions towards God. So maybe we can implement that here with how blessed is a person whose strength is in him, in God, and in him, and whose highways, like maybe Yeshua, the direct, the way, to God is through making decisions of your heart towards him.
Mesilot shows up 27 times, or at least that's what it says here. And
Giving
decision.
Giving God our hearts means to give him all of our decisions.
Right, exactly. Yeah. All right. I'm happy with that.
Okay.
All right. Verse 7 is a little fun because the Septuagint parts ways with the Hebrew again. Is someone interested in reading verse 7?
Already?
Go ahead, Ani.
Yeah. עוברי בעמק הבכה מעיין ישיתוהו גם ברוחות יתה מורה.
All right, very good. עוברי בעמק הבכה מעיין ישיתוהו גם ברכות יעתה מורה. All right, let's go with the Hebrew first. The ovre, that's a participle, right? Construct, plural participle. Those who are doing the action of passing over. Now, it's interesting that it has here ovre. You think it's in construct with the following word, and then boom, preposition. Usually, the when you have words that are in construct with each other, it's supposed to be noun against noun, no preposition in the middle. So apparently the son of Korach who wrote Psalm 84 wasn't very good at grammar. He probably got a D in grammar class, but no, I'm kidding. He puts a preposition right there. So the ones passing over, sorry, that's a bit speculative. I don't want to say it. Cool. Okay. Ovrei be'emek habaka. Now, baka appears to come from maybe bet kaf yod, and the yod shows up as an aleph here. Bacha, like he wept. What's the root? It's not bet kaf hey.
Yod.
Bet kaf missing yod, exactly. And yod often swaps over to aleph, whether from Aramaic influence or because the yod comes at the beginning of a syllable. For whatever reason, we often see yod and aleph swapping back and forth. So you can see that somebody here translates it. Actually, no, that was in the translation, wasn't it? Oh, Jared, you. Oh. Here it is. That's where I saw it. In the translation, somebody jumped to Valley of Weeping. And so that's what I was thinking here. But if there's an aleph, it could just have nothing to do with weeping, whatever. So you can see this translation just leaves it untranslated, leaves it as Baka. But it looks like the Valley of Baka, whatever that is. And then Mayan. Now, why would this translation have loved using weeping? Well, because a Mayan is water.
Oh.
Like a spring of weeping or something like that.
It can be also well.
It can also be a well. What's a well? It's a be'er. A spring. No, a mayan has to be a spring. Like
spring,
a natural, yeah, water gushing forth. A be'er is a well. Then I want to show you guys how this works. Okay. Two different ways to go. So let me think about this. The more, anybody know what a more is?
Well,
Yeah, it's a rainfall, isn't it? Like a downpour.
to be a teacher too.
There are two meanings. Either it's the rain, the early rain, or it's the one who is instructing as a participle. So in this particular translation, you see that they decided to go with rain. And here it is again, autumn rain. And then yate is standard to cover. And then up here we get berachot, like
Blessings.
like baruch, bracha. It's blessings, right? So even yeshituhu, they make it. That goes with the first part. Now the second part, gam berachot yate more, also blessings. The early rains cover, right? Is that? Hang on. What would the subject of yate be? More is masculine singular.
Oh.
An emek, right? An emek is a masculine singular.
Spring.
But I wonder if it's ayin. Oh, a mayan. Very good. A mayan would be masculine. Even though ayin is feminine, mayan would be masculine. Very good. Yeah, that's masculine as well. Okay, so is that what it's referring to? Mayan. Okay, yeshituhu means they make or put it. The who is another 3ms. Mayan yeshituhu. Let's see if we can split it up by the cantillation marks. It looks like it should split there. So Ovrei be'emek habaka, they are the ones that make it a spring.
That weeping would really fit there.
Make it a place of spring. Yeah, look, they make it a place of springs. Okay. Now, let's go ahead. I just want to show you what the Septuagint does here. It does two different things. First off, the most obvious one is it takes the more right here and translates it as a teacher of the Torah, a law teacher. So whereas the Hebrew might, well, I can't say it that way because it could go either way. Because we see the spring and the water motif, then it makes sense that this should also be water and therefore rain. But what the Septuagint does is it flips it and it makes this one a teacher of the law and turns this into the word birkot, pools. So that way it makes the water motif a sound pair with this rather than trying to make it fit with this. Yeah, we have options. What exactly the original intent was, not really sure. That's okay. We have options.
The words of the Torah, the springs of living water, right?
Right. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, is it it's the Valley of Achor in Hosea, right? Not Baca. Valley of Trouble as a door of hope, not Baca. I was thinking it might be Baca. It's
Okay.
not.
All right. So any questions on 7 before we move away? Okay. And verse 8. Readers.
Okay. ילכו מחיל אל חיל, יראה אל אלוהים בציון.
ילכו מחיל el חיל. Why is it kamatz here and patach there? Are they different words?
Is it to do with May?
Pausal. That's all it is. Just pausal. So this is our, stopping point right here. So that shows up as pausal. Chayil. That's it. They go from chayil to chayil. Now, what is the meaning of chayil? Here it says strength. Is that a good denotation?
I think it's more valor.
Right. So we think of Eshet Chayil, where it's like woman of valor. Great. Well, what's valor? Most people don't use the word valor with any occasion. So valor and strength, probably has quite a bit of overlap. We actually get to see Chayil being used to refer to armies as well, in the sense that if you have an army, then that makes you pretty strong. Like, you in what army? Oh, this one right here. And so they go from chayil to chayil. They go from valor to valor, army to army, strength to strength. I just wonder what that means. Is it referring back to the Ovrei Emek from the previous verse? Those who are passing into the valley, they make it a spring, and blessing that the early rain covers, blah, blah, blah. They also go from strength to strength.
Seems like it, yeah.
Maybe. And then we get Yera'eh el Elohim b'Tzion. Yera'eh. What binyan is Yera'eh? Don't you see the chirik dagesh kamatz? No, Jared. No, I don't. Oh, that's because the Aleph said no thank you to the dagesh. And it is very good. So because Resh would not take the dagesh, I said Aleph, excuse me. Resh would not take the dagesh, so it turns into tzere kamatz instead of chirik dagesh kamatz. But it's still nifal. Yod says 3 ms. So he will be ra'ah, seen. Right? He will present himself. He will be seen.
Appears.
Yeah, exactly. Appearing to the God B'Tzion, or God in Zion. Right, precisely. And here we have the pesky Greek Septuagint doing something a little different here. Instead of Yera'eh el Elohim, he shall be seen to God. It does something a little different. It turns it into a kal binyan and turns El into God El Elohim. And it turns into I guess they put a they there, thinking it's a plural. But anyway, it would be Yir'u, they will see El Elohim, the God of gods.
Nice.
Okay. Well, that's what the Septuagint says anyway. Well, just remember, wait. This is a good question. When was the Septuagint translated?
200 BC.
300,
You say
between 2 and
300?
300,
2 and
second
300?
century, second century BC.
It's a trick question.
It was over time. It was over time. It
Right.
wasn't
So
all at once.
first off, we need to define what we mean by Septuagint. If we're talking about the translation of the Hebrew scriptures into Greek that was commissioned by the Greek
Ptolemy.
Ptolemy of Alexandria, then that would be between 2nd and 3rd century BC. But that was the Torah. When were all of the other books translated? When and by whom they were translated is a big fat question mark. We just know, according to no, can't call it that. The Deuterocanonical book of Ben Sirach, the prologue to it says that the writer who translated it to Greek for what would ultimately be called the Septuagint, that was the grandson of the guy who wrote it in Hebrew. And in the prologue to that translation, he mentions that all of the other books of the scriptures have been translated to Greek. So scholars use that datum in order to establish that the entirety of the Hebrew Bible had been translated to Greek by that time. And when was it? Mid-2nd century. So anyway, all I mean to say is the Torah was translated under Ptolemy, and traditionally 70 or 72 elders or translators were used. But the translation of the rest of the Hebrew Bible just kind of happened however it happened. And then, like I said, once the rabbis started, no, I can't say it that way. Once the sages were unhappy with how much Christians were using the Septuagint and they started coming up with their own Greek versions, now we really start to obfuscate what Septuagint really means. There are actually multiple Greek versions of the Hebrew Bible. Which one are we talking about? So can we trust the translator of Psalms into Greek as authoritative? It was me. Who knows? Who knows who this person was who translated it? In fact, oftentimes the translation is rather free and not terribly literal. Go ahead.
Is that manuscript lost? The one that they used for the Septuagint?
Like the Hebrew that they used to translate the...
Yes.
Okay. It's short answer, yes. Long answer, part of it survived at the Dead Sea Scrolls. So the Hebrew manuscript family from which the Septuagint, oversimplified, was translated is attested at the Dead Sea Scrolls. So is the manuscript family from which the Masoretic text comes. 2 different manuscript families, both present at the Dead Sea Scrolls. So it means that multiple traditions were extant in Yeshua's day.
So is it acceptable? I mean, is it fair to say that Ben Sira is not accepted because of questionable authorship?
No. Well, I mean, accepted by whom? Because the Greek-speaking Jews accepted his book, and the Catholic Church has accepted Ben Sirach. It's the Hebrew canon and the later Protestant canon that don't accept Ben Sirach as canonical. Even though, I mean, if you listen to his book, it's full of, I mean, I was going to say it's full of wisdom. It is a wisdom literature book. It's got fantastic wisdom in it. And at times you could even argue that, well, do I want to go that? Yeah, I will. You can argue sometimes that call it intertestamental books. That's really a Protestant or Christian term, but it means everything that existed from Malachi to the Gospels. A lot of the New Testament concepts, culture, context derive directly from those so-called intertestamental books. I mean, we see parallels with the life of Yeshua and in the New Testament from Enoch, Wisdom of Solomon, Testament of Levi. I mean, I mentioned Testament of Abraham, Apocalypse of Zephaniah. There's all kinds of books that don't show up in our Bibles, but still formed the New Testament world. And now I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you need to go read all those books and consider them canonical, but I am going to say that if the New Testament writers and readers, the original audiences, were reading these books, then I wonder if we should too, so that we can get the same context or original idea that they had.
I think we should.
Right? I mean, what does it hurt? Basically, go back to Paul's words: test all things, keep what is good.
Well, for the most part, scholars still use them for historical context, anyways. I think.
Oh, of course, absolutely, yeah. So it almost becomes almost like positioning yourself on one particular. No, what's the word I'm looking for? It becomes an ideological move to reject wholesale all of these so-called intertestamental books simply because a group of guys in the 400s decided it wasn't supposed to be part of the canon or the Protestant canon.
So in a nutshell, what would you say? Because I don't want this to go on and on. I'm sorry, but in a nutshell, what would you say the reason why Judaism today doesn't accept that Ben Sira said, that all of the Tanakh was made by the grandson or whatever?
Right. So I wonder if a lot of it actually is polemic, like, oh, we don't belong to that group, so we're not going to study their books.
Right.
The bit about Ben Sirach is actually funny to me because in the Talmud, Ben Sirach is often quoted as though it were scriptural, but then when the discussion about what books are canonical arises, all of a sudden it doesn't make the cut. So you see like this double standard of Ben Sirach in the Talmud. So I don't know. I figured that one's just a laughable example. It could, like I said, it could have been largely polemic.
Yeah.
How the Christians were using the Greek versions, or maybe it ultimately came about because of the rejection of the Greek scriptures, and those books are written or extant primarily in the Greek. So if they don't exist in Hebrew, then that means the Hebrew world has no time with them time for them anymore. I don't know. I wasn't there, but those are speculative.
I think it's a matter of convenience, because whenever I've had discussions and debated anti-missionaries, if I prove things by bringing up, verses in the Talmud, then I always get, why do you always bring up the Talmud?
Because you consider it authoritative.
Yeah.
Of course. Right? That'd be like, why would I bring up the Book of Mormon to prove to a Muslim that Yeshua is the Messiah?
Exactly.
It's like he doesn't believe it's authoritative, so use what he thinks is authoritative. And all right, well, we didn't quite make it all the way to the end of oh man, we didn't even get halfway through, did we? Just a little over. Okay, well, that means we get to save the rest of this for next week, because I got to go.
Jared, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead, John.
In verse 4, there was a hay that had a dagesh, that la for itself. Why did that hay take a dagesh?
I have an answer for you, and I'm going to check in this here book before I tell it to you. And I don't have to look it up.
I didn't think you would.
It's because it's a 3FS pronominal suffix.
To her, but I didn't think a guttural would take a hay or a dagesh. That's why I asked.
You're absolutely right that gutturals do not take dagesh. In fact, this is not a dagesh. It is a mapik. What is the function of mapik? I know mapik looks exactly like a dagesh, but it's categorized as something separate. What is the function of a mapik?
So it's a dot.
It's a dot that says, I'm not a vowel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a consonant. So instead of being la, the word here is la. Like it's got a guttural consonantal H value. That's the reason for the dot being there.
Okay. Now, I don't know what that symbol above that is.
It's a darga. I think it's a darga. It's a cancellation mark.
Is that any kind of assigned to us that it is a makif?
No. The
Okay.
the cancellation system is syntactic. It tells you how to connect all the words together. Whereas dagesh and mapik are at the morphological word level. And so they are separate. You'll find this cancellation mark over all kinds of words, irrespective of what's going on inside of that word. So no. The darga above here just tells us to put a little bit of a pause before going on to the next word.
Okay.
Jared,
Thank you.
how can we get a recording?
I put all of these lessons on my YouTube channel, YouTube Hungry for Hebrew. And if you guys want to get plugged into the Hungry for Hebrew community, there's a Telegram group. I do have a WhatsApp group, but I think WhatsApp is owned by Facebook. So I prefer using Telegram. I would highly recommend you join there so that you can get updates. I'm on it all the time. So if anytime you have a question, you just type it in there. Either someone in the community or myself will be able to answer it. But also then you get to be on the cutting edge of all the things that Hungry for Hebrew is doing.
I am not familiar with Telegram, but I will look into it.
Yeah, it's basically like WhatsApp, just not owned by Facebook.
Okay. And by the way, Jared, your name came up at the Institute. So you're still famous.
No. It came up.
One of the books that you wrote a while ago.
Oh, Learn to Read Hebrew?
Maybe.
Yeah, Learn to Read Hebrew in
Dr.
20
Eli
days.
and somebody else.
Yeah, so I wrote it. Dr. Eli put some insights in there, and Pinchas Shir edited the book and put it together and put it on Kindle Direct Publishing. Yeah, so the three of us, we put it together. Yep.
So you're no longer with them anymore?
No, man, I wanted to do bigger and greater things.
Absolutely.
I don't like talking bad about people, but I'm just going to say the Institute was doing some things to my students that I didn't think was right, and I didn't want to be any part of it. That's all.
I think I know one or two of those students.
Maybe. Anyway, so hopefully they'll clean their act up, and if they don't, then they can come over to Hungry for Hebrew and get a better deal at a better cost and a lot more amazing things. But whatever.
I agree.
All right, guys. I'm going to go have some dinner with my family. Lehitrot, shalom. See you guys next week.
Thank you.
So we'll pick up part 2 on this chapter 84 next week. All right. Shalom.
Very good.
Shalom.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jared.
See ya.